What's
So
up?
we're gonna,
Mark?
yeah, we're gonna shake it up a little bit today, aren't we?
Yes, we are. And I'm turning it over to you right now, Sean.
All right, so just talk. We got Vonda. I don't know if I'm pointing in the right
I
direction.
know.
We'll see how the
Like
video
the
goes
Brady
out.
Bunch.
Everybody.
we, we have Lydia and welcome back, Kiara.
Yay. Hello.
Today we're going to talk about how society views talking about mental health can be a stigma. So basically, we're going to talk about how when you're having an issue with whether it's depression or any number of mental health issues, you feel some kind of way about it. You don't want to talk about it in public because it's embarrassing. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're going to discuss today.
I think
So
excellent.
Vonda, have you ever run into situations where, you've had somebody that was embarrassed to admit that they were scared of something or they were having, they needed a mental, like a mental holiday or a mental break or something like that. Like they just couldn't admit it.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I've done that myself. So, when I was in the Air Force, I suffered military sexual trauma, MST. Never dealt with it, just covered it up. And when I moved, found out it was flagged in my medical records.
Mm-hmm.
What I went through. And I just, when you're in the military, it's just like you do what you're told. That's it. You get over it. Just like you're kind of taught to kind of almost break off ties with your family and your fellow military members are your new family. You form new bonds. So I actually was forced to deal with it, and I was embarrassed for a number of reasons. I was mad when my primary care doctor brought it up. I was mad. I was angry that it was in my medical records, but I was mad and angry because I was embarrassed. Now you guys know about this. I buried it. Didn't tell anybody. Lydia doesn't know about it. No, that's it. It happens. That's one of probably the worst things about being in the military is that when you go in, you're told to do stuff, but then when it's time to get out, you're just out there. You're on your own. You're used to having somebody to tell you everything. Everything. How long your pants can be, how long your hair can be. I mean, what kind of purse you can use, what color, everything. How to make up your bed, what time to get up. Then you get out, that's gone. One more example I'd like to give. So when I was in Panama City, I did a lot of giving to the community. Everybody knows that. I also gave back to veterans. A lot of people didn't understand. And of course, me being who I am, I mean, I spoke out. I was outspoken. I stopped giving to the only homeless shelter that is in Panama City because they didn't understand why veterans would choose to live on their own in tent city. You not being willing to understand that is the reason why. We understand each other. They know nobody's gonna hurt them, nobody's going to belittle them or put them down. And from the very end, the opposite end of the spectrum is the, I guess, stigmatism that is attached to Black people receiving counseling or dealing with mental health issues. So, but I've spoken enough. So I'm going to turn it back over to you guys.
You were really going deep there. And you know what, Vonda, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for being open with us and telling us that. And people who are going to view this, like, by you even doing that, that's destigmatizing trauma and discussing trauma openly. So I really appreciate that. I know the rest of us appreciate that too, and viewers will too, because you know what? You're about to make me cry, but I'm not gonna do it.
I know.
But I know, but
I see Vonda.
but and I don't know if you all know this, but I am a trauma therapist. So I won't disclose where I work, but I work with kids, teens, and adults who have experienced sexual abuse, sexual violence, and other types of traumas. So this is my life's work. This is what I do every day, for the whole purpose of destigmatizing those conversations. Because I always encourage my kids to tell, like, I want to be that trusted adult for you, or that trusted person, or even doing like inner child work with an adult who has been sexually abused or assaulted at some point. I want to be that trusted person for you to have these conversations, right? Because it's a part of that healing work. And it's very tough and very hard to talk about. Like I always say, levels. You all always hear me say there are layers and levels, right? Like in every conversation, because there are, but there are different communities. The military community experiencing sexual violence or PTSD or depression, like combat trauma, like losing, the people who you were in battle with, like layers to that. Having to come home, transition back, feeling as if nobody understands what you've been through. I have to get back out here and act as if everything is normal. That's another type of traumatic experience. So even to civilians, violence, sexual violence, abuse in childhood, domestic issues, all of these things are so taboo to talk about, but they are very real things for people. Right? Very, very real. Those aren't things to just bury down super deep and expect for you not to have some sort of kickback on. That's going to flow into your romantic relationships, possibly your family relationships, friendships. All of that trauma is eventually going to seep out and sift out amongst.
Right.
So these conversations are so, so valuable and so important, because if we haven't healed from those things, then how can we truly move forward and live fruitful lives? Like, seriously.
And Kia, I need to give you a shout out, because one thing I do know that I couldn't do, I could not be a counselor. I don't know how you get to the point to where you're not impacted or affected and you can get up and go to work the next day. Yeah. I don't I'm serious. Absolutely. I've told you before, how you inspire me and you just, yep. Yeah, but I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. So hats off and thank you for what you're doing, because I know your skills are needed.
Absolutely.
Yep. It's my opinion that we have to rewrite that narrative and go from the person that can talk about their trauma as somebody weak to the person that can confront it head on and know how it affects them as somebody that's strong. Mm-hmm. Because when you can confront the worst parts of your life, the worst things that have happened to you, and you're not running from it and you're not trying to bottle it up, that's strength, in my opinion. That's somebody that is standing up and taking control of their lives, or doing the best that they can in order to take control of their lives. Because Kiara said earlier, when you're bottling up and you're not talking about these things, they're affecting so many portions of your life that you don't even realize. I think that counselors and social workers are bosses. They're superheroes. because they have to sit there
Agreed.
and listen to it and time again, and
Yeah,
still have that empathy.
absolutely. And not be burnt out, right? Like
Yes.
burnout is real. And of course, we have our own traumas and experiences, but we figure out a way to show up for everybody else. So you can heal and you can make the connections that you need to make in order to move forward. Like, I am so proud, and I know this is veering off. I get so proud for my clients. Like, look at you. Like, do you remember when you came in here? Like, really, I am that therapist that gets hype. Okay. Like, look, do you see this progress? Do you see how you're communicating differently with your partner? You're communicating differently at work. You're feeling differently about yourself. You're doing things that you used to love to do that you put down. You're thriving. You're not only surviving because we've been in that survival mode for so long, but you are truly enjoying life and thriving. Like, bomb. So proud. Okay. Like,
She is so therapist as fuck, y'all.
for real.
She is. She is.
For real. Very straightforward with it. Like, and it's not just my work. Like, a lot of clients are like, thank you so much. Thank you for helping me, like, be who I am now. And I'm like, that was you. You had to be ready for that. You had to have some level of awareness to be able to dig deep and do that. You had to do the work. It was just me putting together the little puzzle pieces. You did that.
Mm-hmm.
So again, Vonda, that's why I'm proud of you, because you did that. Like, even if you weren't prepared, it's not something that you saw coming. You felt like this is buried away, locked away. I don't even want to access that. I've moved forward with my life and that's it. Like, do you know how powerful that is for you to finally face that head on? You did that.
Right.
Thank you, Kiara.
Absolutely.
Strong woman. Strong woman.
Over and over.
My
It's
friend.
very courageous of you to not only address it, but also bring it up in this platform, on this platform in front, and just to be able to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
But as Sean was saying, I really do think there needs to be less stigmatism, like just stigmatism, like I say, but to where people don't feel so ashamed to go get, therapy. I know one person, well, actually I know a couple people, they went to their mom and they said, "Mom, we need counseling."
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "You don't need no counselor.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need no counselor. I went through all this in my life. I don't need counseling."
Mm-hmm.
And how about both of them ended up in jail after?
Wow.
And I know another instance. Well, I was just looking at, you ever seen Malice in the Palace, about that basketball brawl between the Pistons and Pacers? Anyway, it's on Netflix. But the guy, he met a world peace. He was telling people he needed a break. He needed a mental break before the fight broke out. He was saying he had a therapist on the road with him. But people just disregard mental health.
Absolutely.
To the point where when somebody is saying that they need help, when somebody comes to you and says, "I need help," they've already went through the process of being embarrassed, of being, being thought of being a little bit off. So when somebody says that, you have to believe them.
Yes.
Because it could lead to other things. And this is interesting because I just had this conversation with my daughter the other day about this. Like, if somebody tells you they need help, believe them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And us having those conversations within our families too.
Yes.
Even helps normalize, like, yes, it is okay for us to seek help. I will openly say, I tell my kids, I tell anybody, I am a therapist with a therapist. Point blank, period. Okay, like, I have my own therapist because I want to be able to show up appropriately for you. This ain't my time. This is your time. Right? So I have my personal time to work on my stuff. I will tell my my friends know what I do, and they know I have a therapist. My parents, my siblings, like I encourage everybody to go seek help. And it doesn't even have to be when you're on your last leg or like when you're about to explode. It's okay to just speak to somebody who's non-biased, who doesn't know anything, doesn't know your family members, your friends. They can't spread anything about you because of confidentiality. They're looking from an outside lens.
Yep.
While your friends, family, everybody else may be in a zoomed in lens because they know every little piece of you. So it can be helpful to take that time to speak with somebody who has a different perspective and different point of view, and who's not going to interject things about themselves or veer off from fully hearing you for what you have to say.
That's true.
That's true. And Kiara, I want to ask a quick question from the other end of the spectrum.
Okay.
How do you stop, or no, I want to know, do your friends, because they know what your job is, do they come to you like just over and over, oh, I'm going through something, I need help? Like, how do you stop that? How do you, like, and if they do it, isn't that like a pain in the ass? How do you, exactly.
Very early on, when I was fresh out of grad school, poor boundaries with that.
Gotcha.
Oh, you're a therapist? Like, you could, help me? No. Now I'm to a point where I'm just like, listen, I clocked out at 5. Okay. Like, now it's time for me to decompress, take a breath, and reflect.
Right.
So I can be good for tomorrow for the people that are going to walk through my door. Gotcha. Now, I won't say that I'm not there for my friends or I'm not present, but my friends know to ask me, are you emotionally available right now?
Love it. So they respect the boundaries that you've set.
Right. Are you able to listen to this right now? Or can I give you a call right now? They respect me enough to ask first instead of dumping and unloading on me, which I absolutely love that about my friends and family. I will always be there because I am an empath. I do, care deeply about people, their feelings, like
you do,
what they've been through, all of that. So I'm ready and willing to listen. But I just love the respect of other people knowing that Kiara sometimes needs a break. Okay. Kiara sometimes just want to shut these ears off and not.
Yes.
So it takes strong boundaries. That's what it takes. And understanding friends and family.
I have a question for Kiara on this. Mm-hmm. What do you think is not a trigger, but how do you know when you need therapy?
How do you know when, like I said, it doesn't have to be when you're on your last leg about to explode, or, you're feeling depressed or stressed, or it doesn't always have to be that last minute thing. Therapy, my hope that people understand too, is that therapy can be a preventative measure as well. It's not just when the lid is about to pop off, and you're about to explode on everybody. But speak with somebody.
That is
it does not matter when. There is never, like a specific time to just go. And again, people, if you don't like the therapist, if you don't mesh well, consultations can happen. Okay, you can advocate for getting a different therapist or getting a referral to a therapist that you feel like you mesh best with. Do not feel like you're locked in to have to see this one person and suffer the whole time. Okay, speak up for yourself. It's okay to say, this ain't it. I would love somebody else. I appreciate it. But Lydia, too, if there's extensive trauma, again, it's always a good time as well. If you're an adult who has severe childhood trauma that you have not addressed, ASAP, please, as soon as possible, go see somebody, because you don't want that to spill over onto your kids. your grandkids. You know, those behaviors can be picked up and passed on. So extensive trauma as soon as you can. And then everyday life stuff, go then too. There's no perfect time. No perfect time.
So thank you, Kiara. You've been a rock star for this. I mean, like we were so lucky to have you on today. We're gonna are we all good? You got any more questions? Anybody? We good? All right. So
part 2, Sean.
I think we could do a part 2 as well. You guys be ready to have Kiara coming back on with her A game like she did today. So we're gonna start it. We're gonna end it this way. Kiara, can you let everybody know where to find you?
Yes, my favorite platform, if you all have been watching the whole time, is Instagram. I'm not going to explain it why. Okay, I just love it. But I am at ksoleilartwork if you are into art, if you are into different art techniques, or even merchandise. Also, I am on sotherapistaf if you are into more mental health conversations. That's where you can find me.
It's AF.
Not the whole word out, but AF.
Okay. I like your Instagram, so I wanted to be clear for people that were going to look that up.
Thank you. Yes.
Lydia?
You can find me on all social platforms except for TikTok on just Lydia 111. And you can also order some merch if you want. OJTtalk.net.
So normally when Vonda does the wrap up, she does hers last, and I would prefer that to be because her catchphrase is one that I always like to end with. So I'm gonna give my information. I'm a Indigenous Patriot on everything. I'm very active with responses, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm on OJTtalk as a regular now, so thank you, ladies. And Vonda?
And you can find me at Ovonda or OJTtalk on all social media platforms. And you guys, I'm laughing because I don't know what the hell is going on with Lydia and TikTok. She's never done it. Oh, that's why I'm laughing. But remember, the comeback is always greater than the step back. Mask up, stay safe. Do not be scared to talk to a counselor if you need it. I love you guys. Remember, the next episode coming up, quick commercial, Sean. Part 2.
Part 2.
Mental.
What are we part 2 in? Mental health part 2. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm like, this was, folks that are watching, this was my first and maybe only hosting of OJTtalk.
All right, I love you guys.
Did great.
Thank you.
Sean, you got to say bye.
The pitch can now. We'll see you again.
All right, bye, you guys.
Bye.